Okay, inverse functions are not hit on the test too much. That's why I only have 3 practice problems for you. So let me remind you, if two functions f and g are inverses of one another, so f and g are inverse functions, what we need to know about them is that when you compose them together, f of g of x, they would cancel out until you just get x. And that would work if you said g of f of x. They would also cancel out until you're just left with x. So the key is, if you're given two functions f and g, and they are inverses of one another, I know f of g of x has got to be x. And if they want the derivative of g, well, I can go ahead and take the derivative of this. This is going to be the chain rule. The derivative of the outer, leave the inner, times the derivative of the inner. The derivative of x is 1. So therefore, if they want g prime of x by itself, as they've stated here, they want g prime of x, I'm going to have to divide through by this quantity. So I would have g prime of x equals 1 over f prime of g of x. This is a tough one. You know, memorizing it I don't think is effective, but working through this method, I do like that little proof of it. Therefore, g prime of 2 would be 1 over f prime of g of 2. Therefore, we'd have 1 over f prime. G of 2, they told us, is 0. Therefore, we need f prime of 0. There's a lot to this problem. We don't know what f prime is, but we can find out. F prime is going to be 3x squared plus 4. Therefore, f prime of 0 would be plugging in 0 into my derivative, and I would just get 4. So f prime of 0 is 4 for a final answer of 1/4 C. On 92, again, they're letting us know g and f. Where did they say? G is f's inverse, okay? And they want the derivative of g. Well, again, I know that derivative of g is 1 over f prime of g of x, and I got that from proving it earlier. And g, yep, these are inverse functions. So now they want to know what is g prime at 4. So it'd be 1 over f prime of g of 4. G of 4 is negative 2. So we'd have f prime of negative 2 is 4. Answer of 1/4 again. I don't appreciate their notation in this one. It's a pretty hard with, f to the negative 1, which just means the inverse. And they want the derivative of the inverse. So I'm going to go ahead and rename it. If f to the negative 1 or the inverse of f, I'm going to name that g. So what they really want here is g prime of 2. And I know g prime of x is 1 over f prime of g of x. They want g prime at 2. I'm going to have 1 over f prime of g of 2. And again, g is the inverse of f. Well, let's think about what we know about inverse functions. Inverse functions, if my function has the points 0, 49, and it's got the point 1, 2, and it's got the point 2, negative 1, then the inverse, or g, has the points 49, 0, 2, 1, and negative 1, 2, where you flip your x and your y coordinates. So the inverse function, g of 2, would then be 1. Because if the function had the point 1, 2, the inverse would have the point 2, 1. So g of 2, my inverse's value at 2 will be 1. And I'm left with 1 over f prime of 1. F prime of 1, they showed us, is negative 8. So I'd have 1 over negative 8, or negative 1/8.